to Road to Recovery here on the Lancaster School Network. Great to have you with us here on this program. My name is Steve Rauch. I'm one of the co-hosts of Road to Recovery. Our purpose for this program is to provide hope and help and healing, wholeness for those who are struggling with addiction, or those family members or friends or neighbors or coworkers who need to know that there is somebody here in Fairfield County that can help them through a very challenging time. We're joined again by our co-host, Trisha Saunders, the Executive Director of the Recovery Center here in Fairfield County. Welcome back to Road to Recovery.
Thank you, Steve. It's good to be here again today.
It's great to have you joining us here. You've obviously had a lot of experience in this area, and you have the opportunity to work with some wonderful people, don't you?
I absolutely do, all throughout the community.
And it's not just employees at the Recovery Center, but other folks who want to come along and support the program.
That's true, and I think that's one of the best things our community has is collaboration. Everybody working together toward the same goals, and that's what makes it such a wonderful place.
Yeah, I talked to somebody who does not even live in Fairfield County, but now works in Fairfield County, kind of a transplant, if you will.
Okay.
And that's one of the things she said. In my home county, people don't work together for the same cause. It's a little bit of a scarcity mentality where I got to get mine, and if you get yours, fine. If you don't, that's fine. That doesn't happen here in Fairfield County. We have a wonderful team approach.
Yes, we do. And I've heard that throughout the state as well, doing presentations, that the collaboration around this opiate addiction issue in our community is just outstanding.
Yeah, we'll get with our guest in just a moment, but we don't have really a much larger opiate problem or addiction problem than any other of the other 87 counties in Ohio. We've just stepped up to the plate and said, we recognize we have a problem, let's pull together and do something about it. Is that correct?
That is true. Ours is actually average use compared to the rest of the state. Some counties have much higher opiate use than we do, but our collaboration and our bringing the awareness about has created a little bit, I think, of people thinking that we have a bigger problem, but really we have a better asset of our community working together. So.
And not too awful long ago, we found that our problem is actually getting a little bit better from even a couple of years ago.
Yes, it is, and that's so exciting to hear.
It really is. One of those individuals who joined in the cause is a lady named Nancy Williams. She's joined us on the Road to Recovery program. You are the facilitator of SOLACE. Yes. Thanks for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Nice to be here.
Now, SOLACE, what does that stand for?
Surviving our losses and continuing every day.
Very good. So what does that mean to a person like me who needs more information, because I'm not that smart?
Okay, we're a support group, and we're out there for people who have loved ones who have lost their life to drug-related deaths, and also those who have a loved one in addiction or recovery. And we're there for them, and we meet 2 times a month. And we just go through the process of listening to each other and sharing. We have educational speakers come into our group and share so that we can learn more. And I also, as a support to the Recovery Center, where I started, was with a loved ones group that they offer. And I try to get the people that I know in the families that need the education on opiate abuse to go to the loved one support group first for education, and then us second. And we get together and collaborate and try to have events for the community to open up, to let people know we're there. We're there for support. And my story on that is that I didn't have anywhere to go. And this was before SOLACE came into my life. I was a mom who had a loved one that was in addiction, and I didn't know all the signs and everything that there was to understand addiction. I wasn't educated. I just felt defeated, and I knew that there was answers out there for me, but I didn't know where to go. And there are groups out there like AA and NA that do help the community members. But for me, it wasn't enough. I needed to be able to identify with someone who was struggling in the opiate addiction. And it seemed like everywhere I turned, there was nowhere for education or to even know. And my bottom out, because I'm an enabler, and we run parallel with an addict. My bottom out day was when I realized that I was not the help, that my love was killing my loved one. Because what I thought I was doing is helping, I was enabling. And I lost it. I had to call in parents and loved ones for me, as for like an intervention, to tell me, you need help. You've got to get through this. This is not your fault, because I was so guilt-ridden. What did I do? Why did this happen to my family? And opiate addiction, or any kind of addiction, isn't economically, how do you want to say?
Yeah, it can affect anybody's
Yes.
family.
It doesn't matter your class. If you want to put people in classes, which I don't, it can affect you, to the richest person, to the poorest person. And I didn't know that. I thought that I had just done something terribly wrong in the life of the person that I cared for, and that was what caused it all. So through that, it was like a couple months after that happened to me, I had a sports car that I was selling, and I met Tony Ashton, who is the head of, or she works under Becky Edwards at the Adam H.
Prevention Works,
For Prevention Works, yeah. And I just could hardly hold it together the day she came to see my car, and she could tell that there was something wrong with me. And
It had nothing to do with the car. Yeah.
And I just started crying. And so we talked, and she said, you know what, there's a group starting at the Recovery Center that I think that would really, really benefit you and your needs, because you need to understand this is not your fault. So I called the Recovery Center and made an appointment to come into the loved ones group. I was their first student. Yeah, I was their first student. And as each week went on, it just little by little more people filtered in. But it didn't really catch on till now, and it's been like 3 years, hasn't it been, that they've been going on?
Sounds about right.
Yeah. And I've been through the program I don't know how many times, because you can never get enough education. And whenever I feel myself slipping back into enabling, even to my grandson that's 19 months old, I used to go over there and take a class for renewal to know that I have this in my personality, that I'm an enabler. And I just have to have help, and people out there need to understand. And I wouldn't have got that if it hadn't been for the Recovery Center, because their support and everybody over there, we're like all best friends now. And I come in, and if I got a problem, I can share it. It's just like Sharon Schultz is the grief counselor, and
She's a clinical director.
yeah, over there. And I just stopped in one day, and we were talking, and I just started sharing some off-the-cuff stuff with her, and she starts counseling me.
Right.
And it's just so cool, because
Right.
they're a family to me now, and it's an outlet for me to go. And this Solace group that I'm involved in, the Recovery Center is like behind us on everything that we do. They help us with everything that we need help with. Their doors are open, and I just add, the community needs to know that Solace is there, because we can help them avenue into the areas that they may need help with that they don't realize, such as myself, that I didn't.
Yeah, I wanted to back up a little bit. You talked a lot about enabling, and enabling is something that happens really in every family where there's somebody who has a substance use problem, where we're trying to help our loved one and support them, but it ends up being that we are doing behaviors that allow them to continue their use. It might be they can't go to work that day because they're hungover or under the influence, so we call their employer for them. So we're trying to help them keep their job to support their family, but really we're allowing their addiction to continue. So that's just one example of
You
what
give
you
them
were
gas
talking about.
money because they tell you they don't have gas for their car, when in reality they've used that gas money to buy drugs. They may put the gas in the car while you're standing there in front of them, but they had the money before, and it's went somewhere else. And they're smart. They know. And it's not that they're doing that because they hate you. It's that addiction has taken over, and they've become selfish about themselves because they're fighting to keep that addiction and live. They're fighting for their life.
As the executive director of the Recovery Center, that kind of story that Nancy just shared has got to be so encouraging. As we opened the show today with there's hope, there's help, there's healing, there's wholeness, there's recovery for you if you want it. And we talked a couple of shows ago about the fact that it's not an addict problem. It is so far-reaching.
Yes.
Obviously, Nancy's the poster child for that kind of situation
Sure.
being very much the case.
Yeah, it affects the person, their children, their parents, all of their loved ones and friends, and the people that they work with. So it is very far-reaching. It affects everyone in our community in some capacity.
With the enabling tendencies that I have, and I know there's people out there in the public, that are listening to this tape right now, have the same tendencies, because all of us in Solace we agree. We're all great enablers, probably the best one ever. We all claim to be. And it's...
It comes out of caring and concern for
Exactly.
your loved ones.
I was going to mention that you have love for your loved one, and that is a very positive thing. So it's not to be scolded or corrected. Oh, you should love your loved one less so that you can handle the situation better. It's really kind of a redefining of that love, isn't it?
Yes.
True love is not just giving them everything they want or ask for, but doing what is best for them. Have you seen that kind of experience?
Yes, and my loved one and I, when we interact, if that person sees something in me as such as I would see an addiction in him or her, that would call me on the podium and say, hey, I think you need to go back to your loved one's class because you're having a problem because you're doing this for me and you shouldn't be. And that's cool that that relationship's been developed, because through their counseling at the recovery center and my counseling at the recovery center, we're both healing through that. And it's a healing that will be a lifetime. It's not something that's going to end tomorrow.
Right.
So
very good. You have a mission statement with Solace. So what is that mission statement?
Okay, I'm going to read it because I don't remember things very well. Solace of Fairfield County's mission is to promote public awareness and contribute to public prevention involving those in the community that have been affected by addiction in any way, thus promoting community unity in this epidemic of drug abuse. And just like you said, it affects everybody in our community, whether you have been affected closely or not. We need to bond together to fight this war. Not go in and do what law enforcement is supposed to do, but have some eyes and ears open that we can call attention to the law enforcement if need be in your neighborhood. And that's one of the things I'm fighting for, to get people to understand, because we have a person in our community that starts neighborhood watches.
Very good. And I know on this program, Road to Recovery, we're hoping to get Eric Brown, the Major Crimes Unit Commander, on the program and talk a little bit about the legal side of things, if you will, and maybe we'll get a chance to talk to him on this program.
I believe he's going to be visiting us soon.
Very good. Now, she said a word there in that mission statement that I would guess, Trisha, that you would certainly resonate with, and that is the word unity. We talked early in the show about the fact that we come together as a community, and it must be a joy for you to see that take place.
It is. Seeing these grassroots efforts in our community is phenomenal. A few years back, nobody wanted to talk about addiction, and now we are seeing how much it's affecting all of us, and unity is very important. And I think one of the greatest assets of our Solace group is that the passion. As you hear Nancy talk, the passion and the concern, you really feel what you're doing, and the ability, I think, for your organization, your group, to do some things that people who are working in our field in a professional capacity aren't allowed or able to do. Mm-hmm. So maybe you could share some of the general ideas that you have as to how you're helping the community, or some plans that you have down the road.
We're having events. There's going to be an event that will be is scheduled next week that will be over with by the time this airs. So we're having an event next week, and we're planning a candlelight vigil for those who have lost loved ones, to help them with their grief process. Because just because they've lost that person, we need to remember them. They're very special. They're very key into helping the community get out there and be aware of what can happen to your loved ones because of drug abuse. And this doesn't, the person didn't get up that day and say, I'm going to kill myself. It just happened. Right. And so we try to be there as best we can to serve their purpose as well. But on an everyday basis, we're there for those with addiction and recovery, in that we try to, like new ones will come into the group. If they don't come, they come 1 week, they don't show up for the next meeting, we'll call them and ask them if they're having a problem. Do they need our support? Can we help them in any other way? We do that. Like I said, we share in our group because sometimes you just have to get it out. You just have to get it out on the table and hear other people's side of what you're going through. That was what I needed to do. I had to get it out there. And as far as events go, every quarter we're going to try to do something in the community that's going to draw our group together for support, but also outreach the community and awareness and prevention. And everything is in the works because we're nonprofit, so we have to go on the basis of what financial aid that we do have, And so, it's just kind of up in the air for future events until we know what our finances are going to be.
Very good. We've got about a minute left. If you were to give a 30-second speech to a family member, a friend, a loved one, about the support that is available for them if they have a friend, family member, or loved one who is struggling with addiction, what would you say to them?
First of all, it's okay to be in denial, because we're all in denial first. And once you realize that denial is not going to get you any place but deeper into what you're involved with, that there are support groups out there, there's a treatment center out there such as a recovery center that they need to get involved with. If their loved one won't go, then they need to go. They need to go themselves and start their healing process, because you can't change that person. That person has to want to change. And I've learned that by calling out on my own to try to get help for the person in my life, and that doesn't work. That person has to want help. And to come to us as a group, and we will be there for them to put our arms around them and love them, and just walk with them through this process of hurt and pain that they're going through.
Very well spoken. If folks would like to get a hold of Nancy Williams or the Solace Group, how do folks get a hold of you?
Okay, it's my cell phone number, 740-438-1129, or you can call the Recovery Center and they have my number. And
Very
that
good.
is 687-4500,
That's
correct?
Very
Got
good.
it.
Trisha Saunders, thanks for your leadership and guiding Nancy through this process. And thank you for being there for people like Nancy Williams, a real person, Fairfield County person who needed support. We promise hope and help and healing and wholeness and health, and you provided it for Nancy Williams. Just one example of that.
And Nancy provides us with inspiration and the momentum to keep going. So we all I think, build off of each other.
Yes, we do.
That's the way the system is supposed to work. Thank you for joining us for this Road to Recovery program, coming to you because we believe there is help, hope, healing, wholeness for those going through addiction, or family members who are impacted, or friends or coworkers who are impacted by this disease. Join us next time as we continue down the road to recovery. Thanks for joining us today.